Imagine waking up in a world that you once despised, a dating simulation game of all things. A young man finds himself reincarnated into the body of a boy in this very game. Fast forward 10 years, and he's not just any boy anymore. He's Leon, now a wealthy baron with treasure to his name. With his newfound status, he sets out on a mission to find a suitable wife, enrolling himself at the academy for that very purpose. However, Leon soon discovers he's not the only one who's been reincarnated into this game world. As he interacts with others, he notices subtle shifts in the game's storyline and dialogue. Could it be that another reincarnated soul is behind these changes? The story begins with a young man calling out the main character of the game he's playing, accusing her of being a tricky fox. With dark circles under his eyes, he grumbles about how these Otama games are just too easy for girls. Stacy's have life on easy mode. Well duh, they're designed for them. Anyway, he keeps ranting about wasting his free time playing this Otama game when suddenly he gets a text from his little sister on vacation, flaunting her bikini pics. Turns out she's making him finish the game because she wants those special voice clips you get at the end, and he's being blackmailed by his sister too. She's got some dirt on him that he really doesn't want mom to find out. So, after days of gameplay and wrapping up the story, he's starving and decides to head to the convenience store. But then on the stairs, he slips and bam, he's a goner. Next thing, he's waking up in the body of a little kid in some grassy field, totally bewildered and feeling completely out of place. The young man recognizes the surroundings as the same world from the simulation game he had been playing. Suddenly, an old man smacks the boy for running away, especially since their boss lady is arriving that day. Just then, a well-dressed woman appears with her 2 children and an elf servant, expressing her hatred for country bumpkins. The woman next to the man scolding the boy apologizes for his behavior, and the well-dressed woman demands he remind her who he should be grateful to for the continuous existence of this family name, Bartford. The man bows his head and tells her it is she, Zola, who is behind the well-being of this family. Zola boasts that the man should remember the only reason a backcountry lord became a baron is because she married him. Later that night, the young boy asks another boy why they live in a shack instead of the main house. The other boy explains that Madame Zola treats the mistress's children badly and advises him to study hard if he wants to marry well at the academy. The mention of the academy triggers a quick flashback for the young boy to the academy in the simulation game he played before he fell. The second boy says that if they were born elves or beastmen, they would have no place in society except as someone's secret affair. Angry, the boy asks why do their lives suck so bad? Why does society not respect men? Welcome to the world, incel. The second boy explains that in their world, women are the alphas. That night, as he lies awake in the cramped little shack, the young man in the boy's body has a startling realization. He's Leon Bartford, reincarnated into the very Otama game he can't stand. 10 years after Leon remembered who the heck he was, he realizes that the Bartford family he now belongs to isn't even a part of the game he originally played. It hits him hard that he is just a nobody in this virtual world, a mere background character, a NPC. But Leon isn't about to let this define him. He makes it his mission to leverage his knowledge of the game to his advantage, meticulously recording every detail he can remember. He knows that depending on how things unfold, he might find himself in the midst of conflicts and battles. To stay safe from such dangerous situations, Leon keeps up a rigorous training while living on the floating island. But as time passes, his grand ambitions start to lose their shine. And just when Leon thinks he has life under control, Madame Zola drops a bombshell. It's time for Leon to be married off. Now, marriage might be the dream for some folks, but not for poor Leon. Turns out, he's about to be hitched to a granny who's a whopping 50 years old. 7 marriages deep and eyeing his pension like it's the jackpot. Wedded bliss? More like matrimonial hell. Leon bitterly explains that this granny is clearly on a quest for a lifetime of pensions, not love. Leon has dreams of going to the academy like anyone else and finding a good match there. But Zola shuts him down, saying academies cost too much and she already spent a lot on his father's second son from his side chick. She argues there is no point in sending a third son to the academy. Leon's father begins explaining they're broke AF, hinting that there are ways for Leon to earn money once he attends the academy. But before he can finish, Zola interjects, insisting that Leon will attend the arranged marriage meeting and appreciate the fact that someone was willing to marry his ugly face. Leon says no, but Zola says consent is not required and insists a man should work to support his family. She warns that if he keeps refusing, she'll send him to war. Zola adds that in their world, no one wants to marry a man over 20 and he's lucky that Granny wants him. In short, beggars can't be choosers. This is when Leon realizes he needs a plan or he'll have no future at all. In the next scene, he solemnly confronts his father, Balkas, pointing out that marrying someone like Zola is a living hell. Balkas has Stockholm Syndrome and is just grateful their marriage saved him from financial ruin. But Leon is adamant he won't be like his father. What's worse, the woman his father wants him to marry is 10 times uglier than Zola. Leon refuses to accept such a fate and is determined to find a workaround. Leon digs through his past memories from the game and a brilliant idea strikes him. Leon asks his father for a favor, to borrow a floating ship. He sets off on the ship, searching for an item he remembers from his time playing the game. According to the game's timeline, both he and the game's MC should be the same age and in the same grade. If she gets the item Leon is looking for, it will be after she starts at the academy. Leon feels a pang of guilt for his ulterior motives toward her and pledges to repay her somehow to balance things out. On the ship, Leon spots a monster that he remembers as a big XP boost in the game. He defeats it and keeps notes of his discoveries. Suddenly, he notices a transporter above him and gets swept away by the wind, ending up in a place he recognizes from the game. Grateful that he brought weapons along, Leon enters an abandoned building. Inside, he confronts a guard robot, dispatching it with electric magic bullets, which he recalls are effective from his gaming days. Just like in the game, Leon stumbles upon a skeleton in a separate room. It hits him hard that in this world based on an Otama game, real people expire. Determined, he resolves that he'd rather come to terms with that fate than marry an old woman. Using the skeleton's keycard, Leon gains access to a place he recalls as the ancient airship's home. Stepping into the control room, he's suddenly confronted by a higher-level robot. Despite numerous failed attempts to defeat it, the robot ominously declares that once it eliminates Leon, it will turn its sights on all humanity. Leon vows that such a plan will never see the light of day and finds a way to defeat the robot. Just as he's about to be crushed by its massive hands, he aims for its eyes, striking a fatal blow that ultimately brings the robot down. He rushes toward the object he's been longing for, a highly advanced ship. The airship's voice commands Leon to leave, but he ignores it and activates the ship. As it powers up, he discovers something surprising. Despite being a newcomer to this world, he possesses qualities to run their ships. The grumpy old ship's AI remarks that Leon is a blend of new and old human traits. He completes the setup process and names the airship Luxian. Just like in his games, Leon coughs up blood from wounds inflicted during the battle with the robot. He starts to wonder if this might be the end for him. If he does pass on, he hopes to be isekai'd into a better world next time. In the next scene, Zola blasts Leon for being a complete idiot who not only blew his chance at marriage, but also went off on some harebrained adventure and supposedly got himself eliminated. Balkas tries to defend his son, saying Leon's death isn't confirmed yet, but Zola cuts him off, pointing out it's been 3 whole months with no word from him. Just then, Leon swoops in with the airship, overloaded with more treasure than even a king can dream of. Leon smirks to himself, realizing that with his newfound wealth, he can finally turn down Zola's arranged marriage and pursue his original plan of attending the academy. As he strolls through the garden, memories of Zola's stunned expression when he arrived with the airship and all its treasures flash through his mind. He silently acknowledges that he's now a free agent, a knight in his own right, and luckier than most to have found an uninhabited island fit for a baronet. On his way home in the next scene, Balkas breaks the news to Leon that he's being promoted to a baron for clearing out an uncharted dungeon and discovering a new floating island. Leon protests, arguing that the island is only suitable for a baronet and that's the rank he prefers. Balkas insists that Leon will need to find a high-ranking wife at the academy to match his new status. In addition to his title, Leon loses his pretty little mind at the thought of having to marry a woman just like his stepmother, Zola. But this time he knows he doesn't have a choice. Ulford Kingdom is the royal capital, a modern and beautiful city that exists in harmony with nature. The city consists of a population of more than 1 million people and is centered around the royals. This is where Leon will begin his academy life. At the academy, Leon immediately notices the striking resemblance of the school's structure and surroundings to those in the Otama game he played. Internally, he resolves to spend the next 3 years searching for a wife while diligently studying noble etiquette, learning the ins and outs of adventuring, and mastering magic within the school's grounds. But here's the kicker. Just like in the game, women rule the roost in this world. As Leon navigates the academy, he bumps into the prince and his entourage, characters he vividly remembers from the Otama game. Seeing them again reignites his old grudge against the game's main protagonists. Among them is the infamous redhead, the game's antagonist, and the daughter of the powerful duke, second only to the royal family in influence. Leon can't help but groan inwardly at the thought of dealing with these formidable women once more. As Leon strolls through the school grounds, he suddenly stumbles upon a scene straight out of the Otama game's script. The only twist: the protagonist's role is now played by a girl he swears he's never seen before. While Leon scratches his head trying to figure out why the protagonist is now replaced by a complete stranger, Luxian, his trusty robot, transforms into a small orb and swoops in through the window. Leon and his mechanical sidekick tease each other, with Leon casually mentioning his plans for a tea party. At the party, Leon quickly befriends 2 other country bumpkins like himself, who also struggle to get girls to look twice at them. The 3 of them have no girls to invite to their tea party, but Leon insists he couldn't be bothered as long as someone shows up. After all, a failed tea party would totally wreck their reputation. Suddenly, they witness a classic scene: girls fawning over the prince. Leon sighs, knowing it'll be a tough year with the prince and his fancy friends around. Leon can only watch in disbelief as the prince blatantly ignores his fiancée, Angelica, in favor of inviting some young chick he noticed earlier. Puzzled, Leon wonders why this familiar girl seems to be stepping into the protagonist's role. Where did the original protagonist disappear to anyway? In class, Leon is caught off guard when the teacher unexpectedly calls him to the front of the etiquette class. As he stands there awkwardly, he suddenly resolves to host the most spectacular tea party the academy has ever seen, despite his earlier claim that he doesn't care who attends. Later that day, Leon eagerly hosts a tea party for a baron's daughter. However, his excitement quickly turns to disappointment when the baron's daughter arrives accompanied by her very ugly and unpleasant friends and their servants. To make matters worse, they bluntly inform Leon that they're only attending his tea party to pass the time until the next, more extravagant one starts. As Leon goes about his day, he hears a commotion outside where a group of noble students are bullying a young blonde girl. To his surprise, he recognizes her as Olivia, the protagonist who had vanished from the game's storyline. Initially hesitant to interfere with the game's plot, Leon can't ignore Olivia's tears. He decides to extend an invitation to his tea party, which she graciously accepts. Olivia is a thankful and kind-hearted Stacy, leaving Leon suddenly feeling guilty for how he had unfairly judged her as a conniving protagonist when he played the game. Leon finds himself wondering if bullying is a usual thing for Olivia, because in the game, she definitely seemed like the type to stir up trouble. But now, the Olivia standing before him appears completely different, a softer, sweeter version. Olivia confides in him that nothing ever seems to go right for her, and she's unsure if the academy is a good fit for someone like her, a commoner. She admits she's eager to learn more about magic but feels clueless about the academy's hidden rules and agreements. Leon drops the bomb that he knows this dude who can totally sort things out. Next thing you know, he's spilling the tea to his older sis, who suggested that Olivia should cozy up to the queen bee of their class, none other than Angelica, the antagonist. Olivia, being a broke student, can't afford a gift, but thank the heavens for Leon. He let her borrow some cash to buy some fancy candy. Olivia wastes no time and rushes to meet Angelica. To Olivia's surprise, Angelica is actually impressed and assures her she's not getting kicked out. She even gives Olivia props for showing up. When Olivia reveals it was all thanks to Leon, Angelica nods approvingly, recognizing his skills. In another scene, Leon grumbles about his 2 pals ditching their class. The teacher announces a practical where students will put their magic and fighting skills to the test. They're tasked with heading to the dungeon to gather crystals, keeping an eye out for monsters. After teaming up with Olivia, they witness Angelica giving Marie a tongue lashing for sticking with the prince and not knowing her place. Curious, Leon asks Olivia about Marie. Olivia reveals she's from a poor Viscount family and has endured serious bullying. Just then, the prince's crew arrives and confronts Angelica. Deep in the dungeon, Olivia finds a crystal and excitedly mentions paying back the money Leon lent her for sweets. As they venture further, Leon realizes it might not be wise to get closer to Olivia since she is destined to befriend the prince's crew. They face a series of dungeon monsters, and during the battle, Leon gets bitten. The prince and his crew walk into the scene and take over. Angelica, who also ran at the sound of a battle, scoffs at Marie when the prince asks if she is scared. After defeating the rest of the monsters, Marie realizes that the prince is injured and heals him secretly. Angelica, whose eyes miss nothing, pushes Marie aside to examine the wound. She offers to treat the prince's wound, but the prince denies her the right to and walks away. Olivia also notices Leon's wound and quickly heals him, saying healing is the one thing she could do. Leon can't help but notice the shift in the game's dialogue. As the prince and his crew walk off with Marie, she glances back at Angelica with a sly smile. Cheeky cow. Later, the prince retrieves Marie's badly burned bag and textbook. He confronts Angelica, asking if she knew how Marie's things got burned. Angelica denies any involvement, but the prince reveals that witnesses snitched on her. Despite her protests, the prince warns Angelica to stay away from Marie, his friends, and himself. Public rejection. He emphasizes that their engagement is an arrangement outside the school and tells her to mind her business. Back in Leon's dorm, he and his buddies gossip like girls about the recent engagements of some guys with girls who have been kind to them, leaving only the mean girls as potential wives. Leon mentioned he had sent out tea party invites, but no girls want anything to do with them. Mr. Greenhair gossips that Prince Julius is in hot water due to the ongoing bullying of Marie. Leon remembers a scene from the game where Julius unexpectedly lashes out at Angelica, but he knows it's supposed to happen much later. Later in the library, Leon and Olivia discuss Marie's bullying. At one point, Olivia asks if Leon has feelings for Marie, but he denies it, claiming he actually dislikes her. Olivia recounts how she once found Marie alone in the courtyard and asked if she was okay, but Marie gave her a cold stare and said she despises girls like Olivia. Leon ponders Marie's harsh response and realizes they're not alone in the library. Leon hears a suspicious moaning noise and decides to investigate, declaring that hookups are a big deal around here. Olivia tags along, scolding Leon for being a voyeur. They quietly sneak to a hidden corner in the library and witness Marie locking lips with one of the prince's buddies. Seriously, girl? We get it, you're cute, but making out with different guys and friends at that. You are a hoochie mama. Later in the hallway, Marie smirks to herself, noticing how the mean girls at school have backed off ever since the prince publicly checked Angelica. Then the prince approaches Marie and offers to arrange a personal assistant for her to ease her loneliness, since she doesn't have a servant. Marie puts on a grateful facade, but inside, she's plotting to have a handsome demi-human servant she can manipulate. In Angelica's dorm, her friends scoff at the prince's offer to Marie, highlighting the unfairness that Marie gets a servant while Angelica is forbidden from having one. Angelica tells her mean girls to cut the shite and that the prince knows the implication of a woman who has a demi-human slave. She politely asks them to leave and then loses her mind in private. Meanwhile, Leon's older sister Jenna bursts into his room late at night to discuss Marie and the recent trouble involving her and the prince. She asks Leon if he's been involved, cautioning him not to get on the wrong side of the prince, especially since he's destined for the throne. Leon reassures Jenna that he's not involved in any of the drama. The scene shifts to a dinner party where Marie is dressed simply in her school uniform, while Angelica dazzles in an elegant gown. In another corner of the dining room, Leon and his friends make a pact to finally get laid, but their hopes are dashed when they approach some girls and are promptly ridiculed. After all, no one wants to marry country bumpkins like them. Super burn. Meanwhile, Olivia urgently calls Leon over to witness an unfolding emergency. Leon rushes over and finds Angelica and the prince in a heated argument. It turns out, Angelica confronts Marie with a warning and informs the prince that she caught Marie holding hands with a man who wasn't him. To Angelica's surprise, the prince already knows about it. Seriously, Marie? You look like you just stepped out of kindergarten, but you're out here playing hand-holding games with every guy in sight. And to top it off, all of the prince's minions are head over heels for her. After each one pours their heart out to her, Prince Julius declares no one can take her place in his heart and drops the bomb on poor Angelica. saying he's calling off the engagement. In a burst of rage, Angelica throws down her gloves and challenges Marie to a duel. The prince, his buddies, and Marie's servant all volunteer to fight on her behalf. Basically, every guy in the vicinity is ready to go to war for her. Simps. Marie puts on a facade of relief at their support, while Angelica scans the room for anyone willing to back her up. Unfortunately, even her friends turn her down. Leon realizes that if Angelica loses now, according to the game's plot, she'll end up married to some old awful lord. Despite his attempts to resist, Leon finds himself drawn to step forward as Angelica's proxy. Reflecting on his discoveries about Marie's origins, Leon understands they both come from another world. Marie is also isekai'd. With a confident smirk, Leon proposes a showdown in full armor, one-on-one, to settle their beef once and for all. They make a big bet for the duel. If Marie wins, Angelica has to stay away from both her and the prince. But if Angelica wins, Marie and the prince will be over. The prince and his friends confidently agree to these terms. Weirdos? The next morning, Marie grumbles about the mob character trying to ruin her plans, but she quickly pretends when her servant enters with her breakfast. It turns out she also played the game in her previous life, but her brother finished it because it annoyed her. Could she possibly be the younger sibling of our MC/mob character from his previous life? Drama? After returning to his dorm, Luxian informs his master that students have vandalized it during his absence, and they even created a voting poll on who they think will win the upcoming duel. In the next scene, Angelica urges Leon to withdraw, warning him that after the duel, she will lose her influence. Leon dismisses her, stating he's not interested in favors and has volunteered because he knows he can win. He points out that their 5 opponents are not as strong as they think they are, and thus, the moment everyone has been waiting for finally arrives, and in the arena, the audience and opponents can't contain their laughter at Leon's choice of armor. But amidst the uproar, Leon stands there with a grin that displays his confidence. In the midst of the snickering crowd, Olivia asks why everyone is laughing at Leon's armor choice. Angelica explains to Olivia that Leon's armor is probably a relic from a bygone era, irreplaceable and ridiculously outdated compared to the sleek, high-tech armor of today. As the duel kicks off, Leon squares off against Brad, the guy with the wild purple hair. The audience can't contain themselves, especially when they see Leon wielding a shovel as his weapon. Brad, clearly feeling insulted, threatens to crush Leon with a single mighty swing of his weapon. But with just one touch of the shovel, Brad and his armor fall to the ground in defeat. Leon is shocked that his opponent fell, and Luxian tells him that if he had hit with full force, Brad would have expired. The referees declare Leon as the winner. Marie is fuming, while Angelica delights and wonders why a man as strong as Leon would make an enemy of the prince to side with her. Julius says their opponent's confidence comes from his armor. Jilk adds that he never knew there were overpowered lost items in the form of armor like Leon's. Greg the Ginger calls Brad a softy and vows to beat Leon. Luxian warns his master that his ginger opponent has plenty of combat experience fighting in armor. Greg tells Leon he can't win because his armor is too powerful. Leon smirks and says if Greg wants to battle rap, he should invite him to a tea party. Infuriated, Greg launches a series of aggressive attacks. After a few intense minutes, Leon defeats Greg and rips his armor to shreds. Greg refuses to accept defeat, declares he'll fight without. Leon declines, saying he doesn't enjoy bullying softies. Then he proceeds to verbally tear Greg apart. Greg is shocked and asks when they've ever bullied anyone. Leon mocks him for his lack of self-awareness and expresses his disdain for nobles who get special treatment, as Greg embarrasses himself by futilely hitting Leon's armor. The referee declares Leon the winner and asks Greg to leave the arena. In the next round, Leon faces Chris, Mr. Blue Hair. Chris vows not to fight for honor. Unlike his previous opponents, Leon promises to do the same. The referee announces the third round, and Leon calls on Luxian to deploy some drones. As the drones start firing at Chris complains about Leon's sly tactics. Leon calmly points out that shooting isn't against the rules, but since his opponents are so weak, he'll hold back. Annoyed, Chris charges Leon, but Leon effortlessly grabs Chris's sword and breaks it in half. Jesus, Chris is now on his knees, asking God why he lost when he worked the hardest amongst his friends. With a hint of spite, Leon tells Chris to brag about his hard work to Marie. The audience buzzes with confusion, wondering how the so-called country bumpkin defeated 3 of the school's most powerful students. Meanwhile, Jilk is determined to defeat Leon at any cost, even resorting to a dangerous move. He conspires with Leon's sister Jenna to plant a bomb in Leon's armor during a break from the battles. Meanwhile, Angelica and Olivia set off to find Leon out of concern, unaware of Jilk and Jenna's scheme. Little does Jilk and Jenna know, Leon is already aware of their plot. Luxin informs Leon that his armor has been rigged with explosives by his sister under Jilk's orders. Leon learns from Luxin that the amount of explosives is enough to kill the pilot in the arena. Before the 4th round starts, Jilk commends Leon for being a strong opponent. As the referee announces the beginning of the round, Jilk throws a smoke bomb and flies into the sky, launching an anti-armor bomb at Leon. Realizing Leon's armor is undamaged, Jilk activates the planted explosives. Luxin warns his master about the impending explosion, and Leon's armor detonates. Jilk apologizes, claiming he resorted to such measures out of loyalty to the prince. After the smoke clears from the explosion, Leon calls out to Jilk. Floating in the air, Jilk asks Leon how he managed to withstand such a powerful blast. Jilk warns Leon that fighting against the prince means his life as a noble is over. Leon responds calmly, stating that's exactly what he wants and he's prepared to do whatever it takes to achieve it. Jilk probes further, asking if Leon's goal is to eliminate the prince. Leon jokingly says that if he did, Jilk would have fewer rivals. Jilk asserts that both he and the prince love Hoochie Mama Marie, and he threatens Leon's family if he harms the prince. Leon taunts Jilk, asking if he plans to let the prince and Marie hear about his threat. But Jilk laughs it off, questioning if Leon has any proof of his words. With a sly smile, Leon plays back a recording of Jilk making the threat. Leon boldly calls out Jilk for being a coward who tried to threaten his opponent and sneakily put explosives in his armor when things weren't going his way. Angered by Leon's accusation, Jilk charges at him but gets knocked down with just 2 hits. Marie, amazed and annoyed by Leon's strength, wonders aloud how he can be so tough in the game. The prince brags about his fancy armor, made with the best tech in the kingdom, trying to reassure Marie. She nods along but secretly thinks it's all talk, remembering how all 4 of the prince's buddies boasted the same before getting beat down. She knows they aren't that great at the game and often lose. After the prince leaves for the ring, Marie drops her act and sighs about how tiring it is to act so naive. The crowd cheers for the prince, clueless about what's really going on. Meanwhile, Leon chuckles at their ignorance for thinking the prince can beat someone who just took down 4 of his pals. He knows the prince and his crew might get stronger later, but right now, they're no match for him. Impressed by Leon's skill, the prince gives him props. Leon casually asked about the prince's thoughts on Olivia. Julius admits they haven't talked much, so he doesn't have much to say about her. Satisfied with the answer, Leon gets ready for their fight as the referee kicks off the final round. Leon points out that Julius has the strongest armor, nothing more. As the duel begins, Leon attacks first, but Julius easily blocks his blow. The crowd cheers for Julius, who declares he can't afford to lose for Marie's sake. Leon mocks Julius's friends for not giving their best, adding sarcastically that if Julius loses, his friends can get closer to Marie. Julius accused Leon of not understanding him or his people. Leon brushes it off, saying he doesn't need to understand to see the trouble they are in. He then asks Julius how it feels to love someone. Julius accuses Leon of getting in the way without understanding love, saying if someone truly loved another, they would step aside. Leon asks if he means Angelica, suggesting she loves him deeply. Julius denies it, claiming Angelica is the same as the other women at the royal palace who don't see the real him. He admits he never wanted to be noble and that only Marie understands and loves his true self. Leon accuses Julius of being naive for falling for someone like Marie not fit for royalty. Angered, Julius charges at Leon, asking how it feels to lecture someone from a high horse. Leon taunts Julius, asking how it feels to lose to a country bumpkin. Julius vows to fight to the death, and Angelica tearfully realizes Julius doesn't love her. Olivia stands up for Angelica, saying even if Julius loves Marie, Angelica still cares for him. Stalker much. Marie looks at Olivia with pure hatred, deciding there is no place for Leon in this game. Julius rejects Angelica's feelings, saying what she feels isn't love but obligation. begging her to leave him alone. "Why you so obsessed, Angelica?" After that scolding, Julius tells Leon to refocus. Leon said he can't end Julius and that if it came to a fight to the end, he'd win as prince. He urged Julius to use his authority to declare himself the winner. The audience is disgusted by Leon's words, chanting for Julius to end the fight. Leon confides in Lucian that his reason for acting like a villain is to help the prince avoid being played by women like Marie when he becomes king. During their battle, Leon warns Julius that antagonizing Angelica and the Redgrave family could jeopardize his noble status and his claim to the throne. Julius says he'd give up everything to be with Marie. In the end, Leon lands a decisive blow and is declared the winner. He approaches Angelica, who thanks him. Later, Olivia asks why Leon is so harsh to the prince and his friends. Leon claims he is only playing the villain they need and plans to leave the academy. In the next scene, the prince calmly tells Angelica they have no future together and she leaves, finally accepting the truth. The next day, Leon begs forgiveness from the head of the Redgrave family. He gives up his titles and part of his wealth to ensure his family's safety. The head of the Redgrave family asks why Leon volunteered to champion his daughter against the prince. Though Leon's true motive is to give the royal folks a thrashing and escape his bride-hunting ordeal, he keeps this to himself. Instead, he explains that it is for the kingdom's sake, to teach the prince that love alone can't solve everything. However, Angelica's father has a favor to ask in return. He requests Leon's help in taking Angelica to the countryside for a change of scenery, accompanied by Olivia. On the airship journey to their destination, Angelica confides in Olivia her feelings after being publicly rejected by the prince. Meanwhile, back at Leon's home, his father can't conceal his disappointment. Not only has Leon clashed with the prince, but is also returning with the duke's daughter in tow. Zola enters the room and promptly slaps her husband for fun. This is when Angelica enters the room, warmly greeted by the household staff. With a hint of disdain, Zola asks who the heck she is. Politely, Angelica reveals she's from the Redgrave family. This revelation stuns Zola, who suddenly shifts to treating Angelica with utmost respect. Angelica graciously explains how Leon has assisted her and why she accepted his invitation to spend her holiday at their home. Zola, attempting to regain her composure, invites Angelica to make herself comfortable and excuses herself to gather her thoughts. Later, Olivia and Angelica enjoy the view of Leon's island when Angelica suddenly smells something wonderful. Leon tells them there's a hot spring nearby, so they decide to take a dip. They check out each other's bodies and compliment them while bathing. While they're in the bath, Angelica admits feeling jealous about Leon and Olivia possibly being a couple. Olivia blushes and says she doesn't think Leon sees her that way. She suggests Leon might like Angelica, but Angelica denies it, claiming she's not a perfect person. Insecurities. After their bath, Leon walks in and sees them happily looking at themselves, and they all start using informal nicknames. Leon advises Angelica that the best revenge is to enjoy life. In the next scene, Marie loses it when she hears the prince and his friends are losing their noble titles. The prince and his buddies gather to figure out what to do about Leon, while Marie cries over losing her dream of living in luxury. All she wants is to be pampered and enjoy the royal life. Well, who doesn't? Meanwhile, at Bartford Estate, a royal messenger announces that Leon has been promoted to a 6th-rank soldier for advising the prince. When Leon returns to school, he's thankful to have Olivia and Angelica with him. On the other hand, Marie and her ex-lovers have teamed up as adventurers, training hard to take down Leon. They've moved from romance to a quest for revenge. They're set on bringing Leon down by hunting for a rare item that can outshine him. Meanwhile, Olivia and Angelica parade in their maid outfits for Leon for the school's festival. Leon blushes and reminds himself that in the Otama game setting, he can't have a romantic relationship with his friends since he's just a MOB character. Suddenly, Jenna bursts into the room demanding tea from Leon. After calming down, Jenna admits to breaking girl code by fighting with her best friend over a boy and stealing the boy for herself. Leon doesn't really care, saying it's Jenna's fault for being a traitor. Jenna wants Leon to take her side, but Olivia disagrees. Jenna tells Olivia to shut up, but Leon refuses to listen to Jenna's demands and defends Olivia. After Jenna leaves angrily, Olivia thanks Leon for standing up for her. Soon after, Daniel and Raymond rush into the room reporting suspicious activity. In another room, Leon and his friends panic upon hearing that the prince and his crew have opened a cafe next door. Julius invites Leon to check out their new place. Curious, Leon follows his rival and is surprised to find that their cafe is designed like a bar. Julius assures Leon they'll succeed this time, but Leon argues competing in the school festival is pointless. Marie tries to bully Leon, but he mocks her attempt. On the day of the school's festival, Olivia struggles to attract customers to their cafe. Meanwhile, a new girl named Carla approaches Olivia and expresses excitement about visiting the cafe. Somewhere, a woman in a dark room is happy to have seen Leon. The next day, Leon motivates his friends to give their best on the second day of the festival. The girls are thrilled about their first experience working in a cafe. At the same time, a teacher summons Angelica to the committee headquarters. Lady Mylene, the queen and mother of the prince, meets with Angelica and reminisces about their past encounters. They chat, and Lady Mylene playfully teases Angelica about Leon, asking to meet him and apologizing for her son's behavior. Back at the cafe, Olivia and Leon notice the long line at the prince's cafe. Lady Mylene talks about her intention to cause a scene at Leon's cafe. However, when she enters, she sees a customer dashing a cup of tea at Leon. While Leon picks up the pieces, the customer slams her foot on his head and disses him. She refuses to pay and tells him how much money she lost betting against him in the duel. Lady Mylene, noticing the commotion, asks what's really good. Angelica intervenes, calmly asking the rude customer to go. The customer mocks Angelica as the prince's rejected lover. Angelica then recognizes her as the daughter of Count Offray, a rival family. Olivia tries to reason with the spoilt brat, but she insults Olivia, calling her Angelica's pet dog. When Angelica tries to dismiss her, the Count's daughter reminds her of past insults against peasants. Leon can't hold back and tells her off, but she orders her servant to slap him. The queen intervenes, but the Count's daughter, who's unaware of her identity, insults her. The queen politely asks her to pay and go, but still the Count's daughter boasts about her status and attempts to throw the queen out. Leon sees red and starts swatting the Count's daughter's servants like he is a ninja in a mosquito-smashing contest, ignoring the fact he'd been beaten earlier. When the mean girl questions his rampage, Leon dramatically reveals the queen's identity and warns her about the dire consequences for disrespecting royalty. Meanwhile, he keeps bashing the mean girl's servants like they owe him rent money. Realizing Leon is going full buzzard mode, Angelica panics and dials up the tea master for backup. In the next scene, Leon apologizes to the queen, pleading for her forgiveness over a cup of tea, as if it can magically undo his Royal Rumble rampage. After apologizing for her son's behavior, the queen expresses her distaste for duels. They continue to chat, and she shares that she came from a neighboring country and has never been to an academy before. She asks Leon to help her create happy memories at the academy, and Leon graciously agrees. That's when Leon drops to one knee and proposes to the queen, suggesting they get married to create those happy memories together. Ooh, child. He doesn't care that she's a married MILF or that she is the queen. However, before he can finish his ramblings, the prince lands a heavy punch to his head and warns Leon to watch his mouth. The prince punches him again and swiftly escorts his mom away to his cafe. At her son's cafe, the queen demands to meet the decorator. Marie, who is hiding nearby, worries about how the queen will react if she finds out her son is serving girls. Mylene complains about their high prices and criticizes their clothing. She reminds her son about his agreement to stay away from Marie after losing the duel. Nervously, Julius explains he's helping Brad and the others who are with Marie. Mylene accuses him of making excuses and demands they bring Marie to her. At Leon's cafe, Leon is obsessing over the queen. Angelica says he's the biggest fool for trying it with the queen. Carla, the girl Olivia had met before, enters the cafe, but Leon tells her they are closed because he is heartbroken. Carla spots Olivia and asks her to pass on her previous request. With a smile, Olivia announces Carla wants Leon to meet her formally. Carla then surprises Leon by getting on her knees and begging him to help her family. The next day in Leon's dorm, Lucian asks if he is willing to assist Carla's family. Leon explains he can only do it during their break after the school festival, mainly because Olivia has asked him and he doesn't want to embarrass her. Lucian is surprised, but Leon insists he is only helping to save face for Olivia. In the next scene, Leon and his friends watch awkwardly as the girls clean up in silence. Leon decides to break the awkward silence by giving the girls a breather from cleaning. Daniel and Raymond are grumbling about their poor sales, but Leon confidently assures them that they'll make $1 million on the festival's last day. During their break, Angelica and Olivia overhear students talking excitedly about an upcoming bike race. Angelica mentions she's part of the executive committee and spills the tea that Dan Fier is the crowd favorite. However, all eyes are on Jilk because of his crazy skills with air bikes. The girls can't help but chuckle at the thought of Leon betting on the races instead of participating, even though he's totally capable. Meanwhile, Marie is on a mission to convince Jilk to win the race because of the huge prize money involved. When her servant asks why she isn't betting herself, Marie launches into a hilarious story about her ex who has a gambling addiction, swearing off relying on luck ever again. When the bike race finally starts, Leon is pumped up believing his bets will pay off with Jilk winning, all thanks to his AI buddy Lucian. Angelica and Olivia approach Leon, warning him about his gambling habits. They settle in to watch the race unfold. As the other racers aggressively target Jilk, Leon grumbles about potentially losing money while Olivia worries about Jilk's safety on the track. During the race, Angelica points out that the racers interfering with Jilk are followers of Clarice. Despite the interference, Jilk manages to come out on top as the winner. After the race, Marie stands by Jilk's bedside, tearfully worried. Jilk assures her he only has a few broken bones, but Marie can't stop crying over losing the prize money since Jilk can't compete in the next race. Meanwhile, Angelica ponders who can replace Jilk in future races. Just then, Clarice storms in. Furious at Jilk, she threatens him, saying he'll suffer for dumping her. Leon recognizes Clarice as Jilk's ex from their previous encounters. He thinks to himself how she had seemed like the perfect student in the game. Out loud, Leon comments on how intense beautiful girls look when they are angry. Olivia gently scolds him for his comment, and Leon can't help but blush at her cute reaction. Angelica attempts to reason with Clarice, urging her to reconsider seeking revenge, but Clarice tells her to shut the hell up. Clarice announces can't stop, won't stop, and demands Jilk beg for mercy. Jilk humbles himself but warns her not to lay a finger on Marie. When Marie tries to talk to Clarice, she goes full psycho mode, scaring the shite out of Marie. Leon was surprised to see Marie, who usually acted so tough, looking genuinely scared of Clarice. It made him think of her as a frightened little sister. After Clarice leaves, Angelica approaches Jilk with a plan to find a replacement for the next race, but Jilk insists on racing again. Marie then confronts Leon, demanding he take Jilk's place in the race. Leon is puzzled and asks why. Marie nervously explains that if no first-year racer participates, Angelica will be in trouble. Angelica assures Leon she doesn't want to burden him, but he volunteers to race knowing it will make Jilk cry since he'll be replacing him. The fan-favorite Dan approaches Leon to bully him and says he'll crush him in the race. Leon asks if Clarice has ordered Dan to bully him, but Dan explains that Clarice is someone who people look up to. He reveals that Clarice was Jilk's one since day one, but loser Jilk suddenly broke up with her by letter, which I assume is just as bad as a breakup by text. Leon hates Jilk just as bad, so he pleads with Dan to let him off the hook this time. But Dan says sorry bro, no go. Clarice's orders are final. In the stadium, the beginning of the race is announced. Shortly after it starts, the other riders begin attacking Leon simultaneously. Leon skillfully dodges their attacks while the audience encourage them to attack him more. Olivia and Angelica sympathize with the extreme hate focused on Leon. That's when the Count's bully daughter walks into the room, laughing on how Leon is hated internationally. Angelica denies Leon as her follower, and the Count's daughter accuses her of having no idea of how many families Angelica and her crew had brought suffering to. Angelica asks the Count's daughter to direct her resentment toward herself. This angers the Count's daughter, who makes a move to attack Angelica, but Olivia steps in and tells the bully to get lost. The Count's daughter continues insulting Angelica for hating on commoners and treating them inhumanly. Olivia, confused and hurt, looks at Angelica and then rushes off. When the Count's daughter tries to be a petty cow, Angelica starts slapping her hard and then Molly hops her. Back to the racetrack, Leon, who is riding slowly, suddenly accelerates to an extreme speed and eventually wins the race. The announcer declares Leon the winner and the crowd boos in anger. Leon greets the angry audience with an exaggerated smile, while Luxian warns him that his bike is about to self-destruct from the strain of speeding. Leon falls, but Dan arrives in the nick of time to save him. Leon thanks Dan and sees he's acting differently. In the next scene, Leon lords his victory in Jilk's face and demands he repay his debt. Leon makes Jilk apologize to Clarice, but Clarice tells him too little too late. Jilk confesses his love for another and gets pimp slapped for his honesty. Clarice demands to know why he doesn't love her. Jilk says sorry, but Marie has that gushy. Dan's about to stand in business, but Clarice says stop. She's done with Jilk. Leon pours Clarice a tea and tells her she's an independent woman who doesn't need no man. Clarice says Leon's a weirdo but thanks him for his help. She also tells Leon what's really good with the Count's daughter and Angelica and Olivia and says he should intervene. Leon spots Olivia, who is sitting alone on a bench by the fountain looking depressed AF. When Leon sits next to her, Olivia asks if he thinks she and Angelica can be friends. Leon says honestly hell nah, y'all ladies come from different worlds so I doubt it. Harsh truths. Olivia says she is so happy to finally have a friend that she's scared to lose her. Leon argues that since Angelica lost her followers after the duel that it's probably convenient for her to have them around. Olivia starts shouting, defending Angelica. Calm ya Tata's mama. Leon says he means no harm and Olivia says she will chat with Angelica again. Later, Olivia thinks aloud that as long as she communicates properly, she and Angelica can be besties. Carla interrupts Olivia and asks if she has a minute to spare. Carla admits that she wants Olivia to get involved with her family despite originally asking her to act as a go-between with Leon. Olivia politely declines, saying she has changed her mind and doesn't want Leon involved in Carla's family feud. Just then, Count Offrey's bully daughter appears behind Carla and makes wild threats if she refuses to help. The Count's daughter tells her plan to send Carla to Leon's cafe the next day to diss her. Olivia defends Leon and Angelica, saying they are no punks and simple threats mean nothing. In response, the Count's daughter turns mean girl and starts pulling Olivia by her hair and reminds her that nobles, especially Angelica, know better than to make friends. She mocks Olivia, calling her a distraction, a silly little puppy used by Angelica. Olivia stands on business, saying she's nobody's pet. The Count's daughter gives an evil smile and asks if Olivia really saw herself as Angelica's equal. She then bullies Olivia, implying that Leon only wants her body since no other academy girls like country boys. Olivia defends Leon, but the bully tells her to test Leon by getting butt booty naked to see if he would jump at the chance. The next morning, Leon tells Luxian that sky pirates are causing trouble in Carla's land, and she needs him to deal with them due to his previous accomplishments. Leon explains that Olivia, as the protagonist, needs 3 items to awaken her powers as a saint: a holy bracelet hidden in the royal dungeon, a holy necklace held by the sky pirates, and a holy staff guarded in the kingdom's temple. He recalls that in the game, the sky pirate event happened 2.5 years into the story during the climax of the middle arc. Usually, Olivia would seek help from the prince and his friends, but now, behind Carla's request, was the manipulative Count's bully daughter. Luxian asks Leon if Count Offrey's daughter is like Angelica, but Leon quickly denies it. She's nothing like Angelica, she's a petty nasty cow. He explains that the Count's daughter is responsible for luring the sky pirates to Carla's land. According to the game's story, Olivia will be dragged into a fake sky pirate crisis because the Count's daughter is jealous of Olivia, a commoner, having more fame than she does. Leon mentions that as a MOB character, he wants to avoid the game's events, but the prince and his friends are useless. Luxian asks if helping Olivia will make Leon one of her love interests, but Leon insists that he's just a side character. However, Luxian realizes that Leon is overprotective of Olivia, potentially hindering her growth. Leon then meets up with Carla and Olivia. Carla announces that she's asked others to join their journey. Brad and Greg arrive on an airship. Leon is annoyed by their presence and Carla apologizes for not warning him. Brad explains that Carla serves his ex, Count Offrey's daughter, and he can't ignore her followers' requests for help. Plus, defeating the sky pirates will bring in bounties to help Marie. While Brad and Greg bicker, Leon notices Olivia looking depressed again. At the academy, Angelica visits Olivia's dorm but is met by Count Offrey's daughter. She mocks Angelica, suggesting she keep Olivia on a leash or risk her getting hurt. She also reveals that she sent Olivia with Leanne on the sky pirate hunt. Enraged, Angelica grabs her by the collar and threatens to eliminate her. Angelica hurries to meet her friends at the palace. Julius and his mother, the queen, are discussing his role in the kingdom. Julius mentions that Greg and Brad are on a noble mission with Leon, and the queen swoons at the mention of Leon. Seems Leon has RIZZ after all. She denies Julius permission to join the mission, pointing out that his lack of understanding is precisely why she won't let him go. On the airship, Leon and the prince's friends play a game of Uno. Greg and Brad accuse Leon of cheating when he wins, and Leon admits to himself that he had Lucian manipulate his cards to wild cards and pick up fours. Greg asks Brad about his ex, Stephanie Offray. Brad says he only met her a few times before their engagement, which is a typical political marriage. Brad adds that Stephanie has a bad reputation and is rumored to be a petty party girl. He explains that the Offrays played a major role in securing diplomatic ties with the Principality of Phanos. Thanks to them, they don't have to fear the Black Knight. Leon remembers the Black Knight as the strongest warrior from Phanos, who had excommunicated his character multiple times in the game. Brad says his family is responsible for defending the border along the Principality, and because of the Offrays' achievements, he can't refuse the engagement. Greg is surprised Brad managed to call it off, and Brad tells him it resulted in a big fight. Greg then complains about his own failed marriage and shares a story about his ex. While the boys gossip, Lucian informs Leon that a welcoming party has arrived, and Leon announces the presence of the Sky Pirates. When Brad and Greg act confused, Leon tells them to stay behind and instructs Lucian to activate his armor. On one of the Sky Pirate ships, a pirate comments on the size of Leon's airship and declares that their leader will be delighted if they can capture it. When a subordinate asks if the ship is carrying only 5 people, the pirate confirms this and warns his men not to touch the girl with blue hair, Carla, because she is on their side. Brad and Greg watch in amusement as Leon defeats and captures the pirates. In the inner chamber of the ship, Carla is freaking out over the defeat of the pirates she is working with. She worries about being unable to reach her family to convince them to play innocent. She eventually decides to shift all the blame onto Olivia. In the next scene, Leon and the others are surrounded by armed men. The lord of the area, Carla's father, recognizes Brad and introduces himself. Carla's father is taken aback when he hears why they have come, and Carla lies her butt off that she and Olivia had just talked about something small, and Olivia had made a big fuss about it. Leon accuses Carla of only introducing him to Olivia because she wanted his help. When Carla's father finds out who Leon is, he respectfully informs him that their land isn't under threat from Sky Pirates. Leon then accuses Carla of bringing them there under false pretenses. Carla cries like a typical female when her father demands an explanation. On the ship, Leon remembers how he tricked Carla into admitting that Stephanie had ordered her to do it. He points out they still haven't found the saint item Olivia needs, but Lucian tells him they have another problem to deal with first. Leon goes to Olivia's room to speak to her, but he is shocked to get the cold shoulder. Olivia asks if he is only helping her because he wants to hit it and quit it. Leon denies it, but Olivia goes full crybaby, saying all she ever wanted was some besties. After Olivia's intense outburst, Leon and Lucian take a breather at the edge of the airship. Lucian mentions Olivia might feel rejected after all the hostility she's faced, but Leon brushes it off, blaming himself for getting mixed up with mean rich girl versus poor girl drama. Lucian accuses him of hindering Olivia's growth. Leon states he is just helping her, but Lucian argues he is actually holding her back. Leon gets so worked up defending Olivia that he ends up punching Lucian. After the punch, Lucian asks if that made him happy, and Leon says hell yes, and I'll do it again, but my hand hurts. Brad then walks over looking scared, and Leon smiles at him. While watching Brad practice sword fighting, Leon teases him about not practicing what he's actually good at, magic. Brad frowns and says he is training to kick Leon's butt. Leon scoffs, calling Brad a dummy and saying he doesn't fight losers twice. Brad confesses he feels like the weakest link among his friends and just wants Marie to notice him. He admits to feeling overshadowed by his broskies. Leon asks what was so special about Marie, and Brad passionately argues it's not just her looks but her inner qualities. Leon jokes that Marie is ugly inside and out. Just then, a robot hands them wooden rods to fight with, and Leon complains it's too cold. Brad ignores him and starts attacking. Leon asks why Brad wants to fight if he sucks at it, but Brad brags about his perfect academic record, saying he wants to prove himself. As Leon faces Marie, he can't help but notice how the prince and his buddies are going all out to impress her. While pondering if he inadvertently held Olivia back, Leon casually disarms Brad and lightly tapped him with a rod, teasing him to take a break and train for another decade. Later, Luxian admits he sent the robot with wooden rods, and Leon chuckles at the boy's efforts for someone as tricky as Marie. Meanwhile, in a dungeon, Marie and her demi-human slave are fleeing from a scary monster. Marie is determined to be the first to get those items before the game's protagonist can, no matter what. The next day, Jilk and Julius are plotting to sneak out of the palace to meet their bros Greg and Brad. Mylon, Julius's mom, can't believe their stupid request for cloaks and masks and promptly shuts it down due to budget issues. On the airship, tensions flare as Leon and the gang argue during breakfast. Brad asks what they're going to do with the remaining sky pirates, and Leon, recalling the game's strategy, suggests they leave them alone until their second year. But spotting a chance to snag the holy necklace, Leon decides they attack the pirate hideout ASAP after pinpointing its location. Just then, Luxian alerts Leon about incoming sky pirates. The boys beg Leon to let them fight alongside him, and Leon reluctantly agrees, promising to scrounge up some spare armor for them. Meanwhile, in Olivia's room, she sits pondering her interactions with Leon after his help and assistance. Despite what others think, Olivia confesses she selfishly wants more than just friendship. As she ponders, the airship suddenly lurches violently. Looking out the window, Olivia gasps as sky pirates attack Leon. Desperate to help, she rushes out, but two pesky robots block her way. With determination, Olivia pushes past the robots and bolts into the chaos. Facing off against a pirate in armor, she finds herself shielded by the same robots. When the pirate swats the robots aside, Brad rushes to rescue her. Brad tells Olivia to run while he takes on the pirate. Despite his efforts, the pirate overpowers Brad, but Leon swiftly takes down the other pirates one by one. Ordering Luxian to capture them, Leon is told it'll slow him down. Dismissing the concern, Leon points out the pirate boss who attacked him. Facing gunfire, Leon quips about not having practiced enough. After dealing with the shooters, Luxian confirms the pirate boss's whereabouts and warns Leon that Olivia is in danger. Leon demands to know why Luxian let Olivia be captured, only to learn the robots had a temporary glitch. Rushing to the deck to protect Olivia from the pirate boss, Leon finds Brad and Greg already fighting him. Luxian comments that letting the boys join was the right move. Realizing Olivia might end up with one of the prince's crew as in the game, Leon decides to help her, never mind being a side character. In a tense standoff, the pirate boss threatens the boys if Olivia moves a muscle. Feeling responsible for causing trouble, Olivia freezes. Just then, Leon Bum rushes the pirate boss, saving them all from further danger. Begging for his life, the pirate boss surrenders. Olivia pleads to spare him. Leon can't resist bullying the pirate a bit before seizing the holy necklace from him. Once the battle is over, Olivia kindly offers to heal Brad's wounds. He mentions that Marie can also heal. Seeing Brad and Olivia together, Leon teasingly remarks that they look good together. He praises Greg's strength and asks him to help carry Brad. As the guys walk off, Olivia can't help but wonder why Leon keeps trying to play wingman for Brad. Luxian updates Leon on Carla and Stephanie's retribution and warns of the Redgrave airship's approach. Angelica's father hands Brad and Greg their bounty rewards, insisting they accept. The head of the Redgrave family then informs them that not only did Leon surrender his bounty, but he also negotiated with their families to reconsider disinheriting them due to their heroic deeds. Later that night, Stephanie tries to flee but is arrested for her crimes. Meanwhile, Luxian questions Leon's avoidance of the girls, while Olivia and Angelica ponder if their friendship will ever be the same. The next day, Brad and Greg seek an audience with the Queen. Meanwhile, Leon shakes with emotion while reading a promotion letter from Her Majesty. Luxian also informs him about a letter from Clarissa's family. Upon reading it, Leon dramatically overreacts, believing Clarissa's father has promised him a promotion. Raymond and Daniel try to cheer him up, suggesting the promotion would make it easier to find a wife. Leon grumbles about not wanting to be promoted just for status, but Daniel mentions an upcoming school trip. Leon recalls from the game that during this trip, students are split into groups heading to different destinations where they can improve their relationship scores. Later that night on the school's airship, Leon comments on how extravagant the trip feels, like being aboard a cruise ship. He observes girls crushing on Chris and secretly wishes that the guys would follow the game's storyline and hook up with Olivia just like in the game. Meanwhile, two girls nearby discuss abandoning the Duke's family, casually tossing away a grenade together. During the festival, Olivia watches people strolling through the streets and wishes that Leon and Angelica can join her for a walk. She wonders whether staying at the academy is the right choice for her. At the shrine, Olivia is taken aback to find Leon already there. Angelica's arrival adds to the awkwardness until a young child appears and breaks the tension by inviting them to pray together at the shrine. Hallelujah! Leon remembers the scene from the game where the protagonist and her crush visit a shrine. While they pray, Leon secretly hopes to marry someone more respectable than a princess, and prays Olivia finds happiness too. Prayers over, the little girl hands them some souvenirs. Leon eagerly points out that they have acquired one of the items he has been desperately searching for, urging the girls to open their souvenirs next. He instructs them to hold on to the protective charm they received while he interprets his battle charm. The next morning, Luxian asks Leon if he needs the sword charm to search the dungeon for the holy bracelet. Shortly after, we see a goth girl begin a countdown on the airship. Sus. Chris approaches Leon, challenging him to a sword fight. Leon, being a petty king, wonders why Chris would try him when he's already skilled with a sword. Chris says he has issues cause his daddy doesn't love him. Leon teases, saying go get a hug from Marie. Suddenly, alarms blare as flying monsters surround the airship, marked with symbols from the Principality of Thanos. Leon recognizes these monsters, but they shouldn't appear until later in the game. He orders Luxian to nuke if they buck. Observing from her own airship, Princess Gertrude watches Leon and the others closely. Princess Gertrude then transmits a message to the students, declaring war on the Holford Kingdom. She demands they surrender or lose their lives. Leon wonders why a third-year event of the game is happening ahead of schedule. A soldier from the Principality of Thanos is brought aboard and informs the students that any nobles ranking as barons or higher will be taken prisoner, sparing the rest. Leon seeks a way out of this dire situation. Angelica bravely confronts the man, offering herself to spare the others. The man acknowledges her bravery and accepts her terms. When Leon tries to intervene, other students stop him, unwilling to let the Duke's daughter sacrifice herself in vain. The man taunts Leon for being a softie and orders the students to pimp slap him. Angelica pleads for his release, but the soldier ignores her, leading her away to their airship. When Olivia attempts to defend her, a group of girls restrain her forcefully. They pimp slap her too. Next, we see Princess Gertrude and Angelica sitting down and sipping tea. Angelica gives Princess Gertrude a reality check about Holford's superior strength compared to their principality. Reluctantly agreeing, Gertrude agrees to the daunting power difference. Meanwhile, the soldier who brought Angelica aboard suggests they focus on negotiating for the hostages. Angelica insists she put herself on the line to save the students, but Gertrude cuts in, harshly reminding her that only 2 students fought for her when she was taken. In prison, Olivia weeps for not being able to help Angelica, while Leon comforts her. Chris alerts Leon that the Principality's envoy has arrived, set to take only Angelica as hostage. Chris briefs Leon that the Principality will attack in an hour, spelling out a grim fate if they don't fend off their enemies like proper nobles. Chris makes a plan to stall while the others escape, but Leon nixes it. After Chris walks away, Leon calls him back, laying down the law. Everyone must pull their weight, no freeloaders allowed. Chris's attempts to explain his intentions fall flat with the students, who turn on him. Leon intervenes, firing a shotgun to silence them. He gives a speech about how much they suck and need to prove themselves beyond their families' reputations. The speech strikes a chord, rallying the students to stand on business. Meanwhile, Chris confides in Leon about the girls who had betrayed their location, and Olivia urges Leon to save Angelica. Gertrude ends the grace period and starts signaling monsters to attack. Leon, on his airbike, remembers the princess's magic flute and tells Luxian they need it. They fight the air monsters together while Luxian jokes about doing most of the work. Chris watches in awe, wishing to be like Leon when he grows up. He directs the boys to battle the air monsters while the blonde babe manages their formation, deploying magical barriers and sudden attacks. Angelica spots Leon zipping around on his air bike and promptly labels him an idiot for trying to rescue her, despite his obvious chance to flee from trouble. Meanwhile, Gertrude fires up her magical flutes again, unleashing monsters on Leon like he's free samples at a grocery store. Suddenly, that dude from earlier is still hell-bent on blowing up the ship with everyone, including the students and monsters, aboard, but the students are determined to fight and decide to go full-on ninja against the monsters, while Olivia multitasks by healing the wounded. Just as things are about to get seriously cannonball crazy, Olivia whips out her secret superpower, leaving everyone staring with jaws on the floor. She mops up the monsters like a pro and suddenly reveals she's basically a saint in disguise. Leon, not to be outdone, charges headfirst into the enemy's ship and plays a little target practice with the bad guys. Leon ends up taking Gertrude hostage with a weapon. He even shoots a bunch of her servants, but here's the kicker, the bullets are rubber. Angelica can't stop laughing at his antics as they escape together with Gertrude in tow. Meanwhile, Gertrude's right-hand man gears up for an all-out attack, even if it means risking everything to go after Leon and his crew. Leon notices Olivia's exhaustion after her earlier heroics, while Angelica unleashes her Fire Lance power to protect him and deal a fiery blow to their enemies. Angelica realizes Olivia isn't as helpless as she seems and admits her admiration in a sarcastic, "You idiot," kind of way. They patch things up and reaffirm their everlasting friendship. Just when things seem settled, the ship gets slammed by a massive attack, sending Olivia tumbling. But fear not. Leon swoops in just in time to save the day. Olivia seizes the moment to confess her feelings to Leon, but he deflects with his classic matchmaking skills, insisting she's better off with the prince. Olivia shuts him down with a straightforward declaration of love, catching him off guard. But wait, the battle isn't over yet. Leon, fully clad in his armor, launched a daring assault on the enemy's ship with a single mighty blow. His determination is unwavering, but the enemy has one last trick up their sleeve. The Black Knight, renowned as the strongest warrior in the Principality of Thanos. Leon engages the Black Knight in a fierce hand-to-hand combat duel, a clash of titans. Despite his skill and resolve, Leon finds himself on the brink of defeat when the Black Knight manages to pierce through his armor. However, rather than succumbing to defeat, Leon turns the tables with a bold move. He deliberately allows himself to be impaled by the Black Knight's lance, using the opportunity to activate the release mechanism inside the knight's armor. In a swift and unexpected maneuver, Leon disarms and personally subdues the Black Knight, capturing the formidable opponent in a display of tactical brilliance. Leon taunts their defeated enemies that they are humbled by a civilian ship, filled to the brim with students no less. This is one of those moments where Leon's cockiness really shines through. The soldier who has caused so much trouble earlier begs for Leon's mercy, and Leon takes great pleasure in mocking their defeat, relishing in making them plead on their knees. Cruelty never looked so good. Later that night, the two robots are hesitant to let Leon into his room where Angelica and Olivia are peacefully sleeping but booty naked. Despite recognizing the rare and intimate sight, Leon quickly dismisses any lingering thoughts. What a giga Chad. Back in the kingdom, Gertrude's punishment is surprisingly light. She is to study abroad. Meanwhile, the trio of friends enjoy a relaxing tea together. Why do these people drink so much freaking tea? It came out in conversation that Leon has delegated the battle and subsequent defeat of the Black Knight to Chris, aiming to avoid political complications. Meanwhile, Luxian delivers urgent news to Leon. The prince and his friends are planning something significant. It turns out they have pooled all their armor parts together to create a formidable set, a move that costs a staggering 500,000 dia. Wonder what's the dollar value? Marie is visibly shocked by the sheer expense, showing her true gold digger nature. But as fate would have it, the armor they assemble is actually rigged to explode. Leon, seeing the danger, tries desperately to warn everyone, including the referee, but his cocky reputation means no one takes him seriously. Luxian solemnly informs him that his only option now is to defeat the threat head-on, despite initially considering letting himself be defeated. After the intense ordeal, Leon is honored for his valor and achievements. After the ceremony, Olivia approaches him sincerely, confessing her true feelings and declaring her love for him. She's his #1 fangirl. As the story concludes, Luxian can't resist teasing Leon, likening him to Marie for their shared use of past life knowledge to gain favor with the protagonists. What a roller coaster ride it's been. So many ups and downs, and bullying and friendships all intertwined. The rivalry between wealthy and poor is something we can all relate to. Who do you think our MOBcon will end up marrying? Has their non-stop tea drinking shocked you too? Will Leon hook up with the queen? Is Marie his sister from his previous life? Drop your comments below. And don't forget to check out our other videos too for more entertaining content. This is your anime sensei signing off.